Hey, this is Rick Allen, and this is Brett Burky, and we're back for another edition of Ask Paperstac. On this episode, we're going to go through the proper due diligence flow. So I've been a buyer and a seller on the platform, and I'm going to give you a little perspective on what works best for both sides of the transaction. So as a seller, I want to know that I've got a buyer on one end who's doing their due diligence. Does that mean they should be doing it once they get into closing? No, I want a little level of due diligence done prior to signing the purchase sale agreement. So that way we're not stuck in closing for a long time just to find out there's something wrong and they back out. What does that mean? So if I'm a buyer and I'm going to start running due diligence on an asset, I want to do some high-level stuff before I even make a bid. I want to know, is the value look good? That's the biggest thing. Okay, I'm going to go check the value. Make sure that I think it's worth whatever the seller or Zillow is providing as a valuation. I'm comfortable with that value. From there, I'm going to reach out to the seller and start asking for certain items so I can start running my preliminary due diligence. High level, I'd like to see the payment history, if it's a performing loan, to make sure they're paying. Servicing comments is something we personally ask for, just so we can get an idea of what's going on with the loan. And then we're going to go ahead and ask to see the collateral file. So that way we can dive in, get a high level, see that, okay, these appear to be great docs or good docs, or at least they're all there. And at that point, I'll make what's called my indicative offer. Now that offer is something that is basically saying, hey, contingent upon what you've shown me, I'm going to give you price X, all right? And basically all that is now contingent upon is the valuation comes back and title comes back clean, right? Because I've looked at it from there. So as a buyer, I'm gonna go ahead, give them my indicative offer, we'll sign contracts at that point, and I'm communicating with the seller the whole time and saying, look, everything looks good as long as the BPO and the O&E report are good, we can move forward. Let's go ahead and tie this up, wrap it up in the purchase sale agreement. As a buyer, why would I do that?
I mean, it just makes your life easier, first off, because then you're not worried about what's going to happen in the closing when you get to the part where we're actually having an audit. So that's another thing too. I mean, a lot of buyers do ask, is it okay to ask the seller these things? And I'm usually like, yeah, that's what you got to ask us those things. And it's like, well, what are the questions they're expecting? And I would almost even template it out. I've seen people that have templates that are active buyers. They're asking, can I get a copy of this, copy of the mortgage, copy of the note, pay history? Why are you selling it if it's performing? So, stuff like that, I've seen that a lot.
Sure.
And it's like, a lot of people are like, then they get the questions and the answers back. But sometimes buyers are, is it okay to ask this? Should I ask this? Or what am I looking for? And as a buyer, what I would say is these sellers, if they've sold on the platform, they know what you're going to ask, because it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. So they have the docs usually. If you want to save yourself a step or two, first thing, go to the Files tab, click that, and see what documents, or if any, are provided with the asset. Because a lot of times you can save yourself the step of, hey, you got this, you got that, and then the seller's like, yeah, it's on the Files tab. So
yeah, if you click on the Files tab, you'll see the address. You click, it'll have a little number next to it, a blue number in the right corner, that'll say 0, 7, 10, however many files have been uploaded, they're right there. Another reason as a buyer that I want to do my due diligence high level first, then sign my purchase sale agreement before I put out any money, is because I don't want to be at risk of losing money. I'm not going to run a BPO if I haven't guaranteed that I have the asset under contract. I'm not going to spend money on the due diligence reports. And most of the sellers, myself included, are very comfortable with that. That's a standard flow. Offering an indicative offer, that's just kind of industry standard. On Paperstac, we just don't give you those that's not a to-do item. That's just an understood, like, look, run your due diligence, submit the offer, we'll sign a PSA, wrap it up. From there, you can go ahead, spend your money. Pending everything coming back, you should be able to move right into closing. Yeah. It'll speed up transactions. It'll stop from transactions, having to get rolled back out of closing. Makes sellers happy, buyers happy, and makes Paperstac happy.
True. I mean, also, too, as a buyer, note that on any listing, you will see underneath the note details, there's usually a section for payment history. So if the payment history is there, it will be provided there. If it's not, it's not. But then right below that, it'll say something like, so many documents are provided with this asset. So you know that there are documents already, so you don't have to ask when you get in. You can look at that and say, oh wow, they're there. Okay, I'm just gonna need to start. And a lot of people, I've seen it before too, a lot of buyers have said, well, I didn't want to start a transaction. And it's like, well, you're not starting a transaction, you're just kind of doing some, like just getting conversation flow. And it's, I mean, we don't have another word for that at this time. If you think of something better that we can call it right when you're starting, let us know. But I mean, we're like, well, it's a transaction.
You can have a transaction going, doesn't mean you're going into closing. You're not committed. You're just at that point opening up dialogue and starting to create your digital audit trail, which is one of the big benefits of using Paperstac is we do create a digital audit trail for you. So, this is how you should run your due diligence. This is sort of the workflow that's expected on the platform that people are comfortable with. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you have any other questions, go ahead, hit us on Twitter, #Paperstac, #AskPaperstac, and we'll get back with you.
Sounds good. See you on the next one.